Hi, let's talk about decentralized social. Decentralized social is empowering an internet that's creator-led, user-owned, and open to millions of developers around the world to build off one another. So, what is Deso? Deso is a new Layer 1 blockchain built from the ground up to decentralize social media for billions of users. We believe in empowering an internet that's creator-led, user-owned, and open to millions of developers around the world to build off one another. Today, there's only a handful of big tech companies that own and control all the information we consume online. Deso puts the ownership back in the hands of users, not platforms. Your identity, your profile, your content, and your social graph can now be owned by you in a completely censorship-resistant way. Creators can now freely monetize in a way they could never do before. With new crypto-native monetization tools, like social tokens, social dose, social tipping, and more, creators have access to monetize their passion and make a living by doing what they love. Developers can build in a gasless, permissionless, and transparent environment where everything is open and on-chain for ultimate accessibility and composability. Deso is built to support storage-heavy or infinite-state applications, opening up a new world of non-financial-based Web3 apps that weren't possible before. Centralization of social media. Deso represents a more than 2-year effort to create a blockchain capable of decentralizing the social media category, and it believes it presents the first clear path to solving the existing problems that plague social media today. Today, social media is even more centralized than the financial industry was prior to the creation of Bitcoin. A handful of private companies effectively control public discourse and earn monopoly profits off of content that they don't even create. Meanwhile, the creators who actually produce this content are underpaid, underengaged, and undermonetized thanks to an outdated ads-driven business model. In addition to all of this, the ads-driven business model also forces social media companies to keep a walled garden around content created on their platforms, preventing external developers from innovating or building apps on top of it and giving users and creators no choice but to continue using apps that solely they control. These problems stem from the fact that the data and content created by users today are privately owned by a handful of companies, rather than publicly accessible as an open utility. Because only a handful of companies have access to the content, only these companies can curate competitive feeds, only these companies can build competitive new features and apps, and only these companies can monetize this content that isn't even created by these companies in the first place. The future curator economy. Moreover, there's no reason why other verticalized players can't enter the market to create feeds that they're uniquely suited for curating. For example, imagine if ESPN ran a node that curated a feed of the best sports content, or if Politico ran a node that curated a feed of the best political content. Additionally, since Deso is fully open source, these players could even customize their UI and build custom algorithms to rank the influencers and posts in a way that serves their specific target customers. Deso thinks this will quickly move it from a world in which a handful of juggernauts control the dominant feeds to one in which consumers will have thousands of feeds to choose from, each with its own specific focus. On top of that, storing all of the data on a public blockchain makes it so that, with one engineer, anyone can build a social media experience that's competitive with the existing incumbents. It cannot be overstated the extent to which this lowers the barrier to entry for creating new social media products. It becomes possible for existing publishers to trivially spin up social apps and experiences as direct adjacencies to their core business, and allows upstarts to innovate on a relatively even footing with megacorps for the first time. Compare this to today where building a competitive social app generally requires building a billion-user data moat first. The best part is that anyone who runs a node to curate their own feed also contributes data back to the public pool of profiles, posts, follows, etc. that's stored on the public blockchain. A post or a like on ESPN's node can be surfaced on Politico's feed. A post made in China can be surfaced on a feed running on a node in America and vice versa. And with every node that runs, more content gets contributed back to the global data pool stored on the blockchain, making every other node on the network more powerful and more engaging to users. In some sense, Deso can solve a collective action problem among independent publishers. Instead of being forced to contribute to a privately owned data pool controlled by a megacorp who's not aligned with them, publishers can now contribute to a public data pool that nobody controls and that they'll never be disintermediated from. Thus Deso can move from a world in which data is a heavily guarded, privately owned resource to one in which it is more like a globally accessible utility that anyone can build on. Importantly, there is a strong incentive for publishers to contribute data back to the blockchain because not doing so would deter the top creators from wanting to publish on them. After all, why would you publish solely on a closed platform that exclusively owns your data when you could additionally publish to the blockchain and have your post instantly available to every node/feed that's running on the internet? Deso thinks all of the above can give the creators unprecedented reach and a more direct relationship with their followers than has been afforded to them with existing platforms. But reach is only one side of the coin, the other side is monetization. Deso founders have very impressive social views. You can read it on their website. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.